Cruise ships are getting bigger and bigger to accommodate an ever-growing demand for cruise tourism. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 15 biggest cruise ships ever built. Number 15. Navigator of the Seas. Operated by Royal Caribbean International, the Navigator of the Seas is one of the company's Voyager-class cruise ships that first entered service in January of 2002, at which point it became the largest cruise ship in the world until 2005. At 1,020 feet long and 157 feet wide, a refit in 2014 saw the ship's weight increase to a gross tonnage of 139,000. It has 15 decks, which allows it to accommodate as many as 4,000 passengers, as well as 1,200 crew members, along with a number of amenities such as a flow rider surfing simulator, an outdoor movie screen, several swimming pools, water slides, countless restaurants, and even a flight simulator. Serious thought and effort has been put into making the experience on board the ship a one-of-a-kind. And this includes more than $8.5 million worth of art that's on display in the corridors, stairways, and in the main atrium, where there's more than a 7-deck tall sculpture inspired by the bubbles released from a scuba diver. Surprisingly, despite its size, the Navigator of the Seas is quite fast in the water. It's powered by 6 W12 V46 engines, which gives it a cruising speed of 22 knots, which is the equivalent to 25 miles an hour. Number 14. Britannia. The MV Britannia, which belongs to P&O Ferries, became the company's largest vessel and its flagship when it launched in 2014. At an estimated cost of around $600 million, it's 1,082 feet long, 144 feet wide, and 231 feet high, and it's powered by 4 engines that give it a top cruising speed of 25.2 miles an hour, where there are 1,837 cabins to give a capacity of 3,647 passengers, along with 1,400 crew members. On board there are 13 bars and 13 restaurants, with several operated by Michelin star chefs. And guests also have access to 4 swimming pools and a spa. A refit in 2019 upgraded a number of the facilities and even added a new art gallery, shopping outlets, and a redesigned atrium. When it was completed, the ship was christened by Queen Elizabeth II, and to leverage its British connection, it features a 308-foot-long Union flag design on its bow, which is by far the largest representation of the flag in the world. Number 13. Sky Princess. Sky Princess, which is operated by Princess Cruises, is a Royal-class cruise ship and the 4th of its type that's run by the company. After several delays in its construction, the vessel was ready to set sail in February of 2019 and sailed its first cruise with paying passengers in October of that year. The Sky Princess is 1,082 feet long, 126 feet wide, and has a maximum service speed of 25 miles an hour. The ship has a gross tonnage of 145,000, and across 19 decks there are 1,830 passenger cabins and 757 crew cabins. This gives the liner a capacity of 3,660 passengers and 1,346 crew members, and amazingly, 81% of the passenger cabins have their own private balcony. It's based in Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale, and in its first season there was such a demand from people who wanted to see it for themselves that the company only scheduled 3-day cruises to begin with. The plan is for it to sail in the Caribbean during the winter months and in Europe during the summer, but after the issues the cruise industry faced in 2020, the company is looking for an alternative deployment option. Number 12. Norwegian Breakaway. The 146,000 gross ton Norwegian Breakaway is a cruise ship that's operated by Norwegian Cruise Line, and it's one of the 2 vessels that were part of the company's Project Breakaway. The name was found through a public naming contest, so it's lucky that participants took the job seriously, otherwise the fortunes of the ship could have been a very different story. It was launched in 2013 and is designed primarily for 7-day cruises that travel around the Caribbean. Up until 2018, the Norwegian Breakaway was based in New York City and was the largest cruise ship to be permanently operating out of the port there. But as of late 2019, it's been redeployed to operate out of Port Canaveral instead. The vessel is 1,068 feet long, 169 feet wide, and is powered by 4 MAN engines that give it a maximum cruising speed of 24.7 miles an hour. Across its 18 decks, there are 1,024 staterooms and 238 suites, which can accommodate up to 3,900 guests, along with room for 1,600 crew members. In terms of amenities, there's just about everything you could expect from a modern-day cruise ship, but unusually it has its own dedicated comedy club, which hosts regular performances by an improvisational comedy troupe. Number 11. Queen Mary 2. The Queen Mary 2, which cost around $687 million to build, is the flagship of the Cunard line, and has been since 2004 when it was launched. Technically, it's an ocean liner as opposed to a cruise ship, and it's the only passenger ship in the world that's been designed to these specifications. This means the vessel isn't laden full of amenities like others, but there's a charm about the Queen Mary 2 that's almost reminiscent of the cruise liners of old. It's the only vessel that regularly sails one route, the transatlantic crossing between New York City and Southampton in the UK, but it's also used for cruises, including a round-the-world tour once a year. The 149,000 gross tonnage ship is 1,132 feet long, 147 feet wide, and 236 feet tall, and it has 18 decks, 14 of which are accessible to passengers. On board there are 15 restaurants and bars, 5 swimming pools, a casino, a ballroom, a theater, and, surprisingly, the world's first planetarium on a ship. Following a refit in 2016, the Queen Mary 2 has a maximum capacity of 2,695 passengers and 1,200 crew members, but each paying guest will stay in a room that's far more luxurious than you'd normally expect. No expense was spared in decorating the interior, and only the best materials were used. This meant that the ship is extremely durable, so can easily sustain its top speed of 35 miles an hour, which is far faster than most other large passenger ships. Number 10. Genting Dream. The Genting Dream was the first cruise ship to be specifically designed to cater to the Asian market, and first set sail with paying passengers on board in November of 2016. It's operated by Dream Cruises and is based in various ports around the continent, but mainly operates out of Hong Kong and Singapore. It's 1,100 feet long, 130 feet wide, and has a gross tonnage of 150,000. There's a total of 18 decks, which provides enough space for 3,348 passengers and approximately 1,200 crew members, and of course has all the amenities you'd expect. There are several swimming pools, a fitness suite, a large shopping mall, and plenty of restaurants and bars, and even a karaoke bar. With a top speed of 26 miles an hour, it's a little faster than most large cruise ships, and a decision was made in the hope that over a 2-week voyage, the ship would be able to visit an extra port in comparison to what other operators can offer. Number 9. MSC Seaview. The MSC Seaview is the second of MSC Cruises' planned 4 Seaside-class cruise ships, and was completed in June of 2018 at an estimated cost of $700 million. The 153,000 gross tonnage vessel is 1,060 feet long and 135 feet wide, and is arranged across 18 decks. There are 2,066 passenger cabins, which allows for a maximum capacity of 5,100 guests, and 759 crew cabins to provide accommodation for the 1,400-person-strong workforce. This ship has a rather unusual design, and this was done on purpose to shift its center of gravity to a lower position than is the case on similarly sized vessels. This also allows for the creation of a huge pool deck on the aft section, which left room for a custom-designed water park on the top deck, an MSC Yacht Club area that provides luxury amenities for an upgrade fee, 3 themed restaurants, a bowling alley, and a theater. The 4 engines of the ship generate 83,000 horsepower, and this is used to power the electric motors behind the 2 propellers to give the ship a cruising speed of 24.5 miles per hour.
We're constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button.
Number 8. Norwegian Encore. Operated by Norwegian Cruise Line, Norwegian Encore is a Breakaway Plus class cruise ship, and it's the 4th of its type to be operated by the company. It entered service in November of 2019 and is estimated to have a cost upwards of $1 billion to build. The vessel is 1,094 feet long, 136 feet wide at its widest point, and has a draft of almost 30 feet. It has a gross tonnage of 169,000, but it has a much larger capacity than you would expect from a vessel of its size. Across the 20 decks there are 2,043 staterooms, which gives a maximum occupancy of 4,000 passengers, and there's also room for 2,100 crew on board too. The Norwegian Encore has 5 engines, which produce a total of 102,000 horsepower, and gives it a top speed of 26 miles per hour. The engines have been designed to be as efficient as possible, with the company's drive to reduce emissions, so make use of clever technologies such as scrubbers and a heat recovery system to save energy. The vibrant artwork on the hull of the ship is unique for the Norwegian Encore, and it was designed by renowned Spanish artist Eduardo Arons Bravo. The company wanted to make sure their vessel was easily recognizable for passengers returning to a busy port, and there's certainly no way you'll miss it if you ever see it sailing past. Number 7. Spectrum of the Seas. Royal Caribbean is the largest cruise operator based on revenue in the world, and it seems fitting that the company has been responsible for pushing ship design forwards over the past few decades. The Spectrum of the Sea is a Quantum Ultra-class cruise ship and became the 5th largest ship in the company's fleet when it launched in 2019. With a gross tonnage of 169,000, it's 1,139 feet long, up to 162 feet wide, and has a draft of 29 feet. There are 18 decks on board, of which 16 are accessible to guests, and across these there are enough cabins to host up to 4,900 passengers. The 6 engines on the ship give it a top speed of 25 miles an hour, and were designed to provide plenty of energy to power the range of amenities on board. Surprisingly, despite being a Royal Caribbean ship, the Spectrum of the Seas is based in Shanghai and has been tailor-made for the Chinese market with routes that travel around East Asia. Not only does this mean most of the restaurants focus on Chinese specialties, but the signs, menus, entertainment is all mostly in Mandarin too. Number 6. MSC Grandiosa. The MSC Grandiosa entered service in November of 2019 and immediately became the largest vessel owned and operated by MSC Cruises. It's a Meraviglia-class cruise ship, which was built in the Chantiers de l'Antique shipyard in France, and is the first of 3 vessels being built to this specification. The plan was for the ship to be based in South America for the 2020 to 2021 season, which would have made it the largest cruise ship to sail from the continent. But with the crisis that struck the industry in 2020, the company is reconsidering how to deploy it once the demand for tourism increases again. With a gross tonnage of 181,000, it became the 6th largest type of cruise ship in the world when it launched, and the statistics surrounding the ship are incredible. It's 1,087 feet long, 141 feet wide, and 213 feet high. It has 19 decks with 2,400 cabins to allow it to host up to 6,300 passengers at a time. To ensure smooth operations, a crew complement of 1,700 is required, which includes sailors, entertainers, and every other role involved in keeping the guests happy. The ship has a maximum cruising speed of 25.7 miles per hour, but as it was only recently built, the latest in engine technologies were used to improve fuel consumption and significantly reduce emissions. One of the cleverest inclusions was a selective catalytic reduction system, the first of MSC ships to have one, and this reduces the amount of nitrogen oxide that the ship releases by 90%, combined with an exhaust gas cleaning system that also filters 97% of the sulfur emissions, and the MSC Grandiosa is one of the most environmentally friendly cruise ships in the world. Number 5. Mardi Gras. Launched in late January of 2020 and built at a cost of $1 billion, the Mardi Gras is a cruise ship that's operated by Carnival Cruise Line. It didn't immediately enter service though, and the plan is for it to carry its first passengers at some point in 2021. It's an Excel-class ship, which is an improved version of the company's Excellence-class ships, and is the first of 2, with the next due to be delivered in 2022. It's by far the largest of the ships in Carnival's fleet, with a gross tonnage of 181,000, and the name was chosen to reflect the party atmosphere that the ship is designed to promote. It's 1,130 feet long, 138 feet wide, and there's so much space across the 19 decks that the ship has a maximum capacity of 6,500 passengers, along with 2,000 crew members. The Mardi Gras has a top cruising speed of 26 miles per hour and is planned to be the first liquefied natural gas-powered cruise ship to be based in North America. The interior of the ship is divided into 6 zones, each of which are themed and have their own restaurants, entertainment venues, and facilities. There's also a water park, a sports center, and an ultimate playground zone on the top deck that features the world's first cruise ship roller coaster, which sees cars race around the 800-foot-long track at speeds of up to 40 miles an hour. Number 4. The AIDA Nova. Built by the Meyer-Werft shipyard in Germany, the AIDA Nova is an Excellence-class cruise ship that was purchased by Carnival Cruises for use by their subsidiary operator, the German-based AIDA Cruises. It's possibly the most easily recognizable cruise ship in the world. After all, have you ever seen one with giant red lips on its bow before? Delivered in December of 2018, it was the world's first cruise ship that could be solely powered by liquefied natural gas, which is now becoming more common because of the reduced emissions that are released by using that fuel. Some regions around the world, including Europe, will only permit new vessels to enter their waters if they've been built with green credentials, and the AIDA Nova was seen as proof that this is fully possible. It has a gross tonnage of 183,000, is 1,106 feet long, 138 feet wide, and 226 feet high. Across the 16 decks, there are cabins to provide accommodation for up to 6,654 passengers, along with 1,600 crew members. And the interior is also packed full of restaurants, stores, bars, and entertainment facilities. There's a pool on the top deck as well as a fitness center, kids area, and a large performance hall for nightly entertainers. Due to its hybrid engines that can use LNG or diesel, the AIDA Nova has a slightly slower speed than most other cruise ships, reaching a maximum of 20 miles an hour. It's designed, however, to sail routes around the Mediterranean, so the slower pace doesn't affect how many ports it can stop off at along the way. Number 3. Iona. The MS Iona is another Excellence-class cruise ship, but this one was built to the specifications required for use by P&O Cruises. It was delivered to the company in 2020, at which point it became the flagship, but it wasn't able to actually sail any routes that year because of the collapse of the cruise industry in that year. And the company remains hopeful that it will host its first paying customers in 2021. The 184,000 gross tonnage vessel is estimated to have cost approximately $950 million to build, and it's been designed to use liquefied natural gas as a fuel, so it doesn't emit any sulfur dioxide or soot particles. It's 1,130 feet long and 138 feet wide. Across its 18 decks, it has a capacity for 5,200 passengers and 1,700 crew, and has a top speed of 20 miles an hour. On board, guests will be treated to a choice of 17 different places to eat, including 8 select dining restaurants. There's also a wide range of bars, but it's the entertainment on offer that makes the Iona stand out. It has 16 whirlpools, 4 swimming pools, and the Sky Dome, a 105-ton glass dome that has a pool in it during the day, but also has a retractable stage so it's the venue for performances in the evening. There's also an atrium that spans 3 decks and is a focal point of the interior entertainments, and this is surrounded by glass panels that are used to display live images of the views from outside. Number 2. Costa Meralda. The Costa Meralda began sailing for Costa Cruises in December of 2019 and immediately became the biggest ship in their fleet. It's an Excellence-class ship, but because of the specifications that Costa required, it's now the 5th largest ship in the world. It was also the 2nd cruise ship to enter operation that could be fully powered by liquefied natural gas. The 185,000 gross tonnage vessel is 1,105 feet long, 137 feet wide, and has a draft of 38 feet. The 2 azimuth electric propulsion drive engines produce 50,000 horsepower, and this enables the ship to achieve a top speed of 24.7 miles an hour. There are 20 decks with 2,600 passenger cabins. This means the maximum occupancy is 6,554 people, as well as 1,600 crew members, and 1,600 of the cabins have their own private balconies. As it's the new flagship for Costa, the Smeralda is full of amazing features. There are 11 restaurants, more than 1,800 square feet of retail space, and a 3-deck coliseum at the center of the ship, which is the heart of the onboard entertainment. There's also a kitchen lab where you can experiment with different flavors and techniques, a silent disco party by one of the pools, and even a virtual band, which is a room surrounded by LED walls that project concerts onto them 3 times a week. You might think that with so many people on board, conditions may feel a bit cramped, but special attention has been put to ensuring it feels as spacious as possible, and the initial reviews seem very positive. Number 1. Symphony of the Seas. The Symphony of the Seas, which is operated by Royal Caribbean Cruises, is the largest cruise ship in the world, with a gross tonnage of 228,000. It's the 4th of the company's Oasis-class vessels, each of which is bigger than any other cruise ship in the world, and it first set sail in 2018. It's estimated that the Symphony of the Seas cost more than $1.35 billion to build, but it's an astonishing piece of engineering. The ship is 1,184 feet long, up to 215 feet wide, and 238 feet high, which astonishingly makes it a full 98 feet longer than the biggest military ship ever built, the U.S. Navy's Nimitz-class aircraft carriers. There are 18 decks, 16 of which are for guest use, and the ship has a maximum capacity of 6,680 passengers and 2,200 crew members. As you'd imagine, with so many people on board, it has more facilities than any other vessel. There are 4 large swimming pools, a dedicated children's water park, a basketball court, and an indoor ice rink. There's also a 10-deck high zip wire, a theater that can seat 1,400 people, and 2 huge climbing walls. For those looking for a more peaceful experience, the Symphony of the Seas has you covered too, because there's a park on board that has more than 20,000 tropical plants on display. The ship is also at the cutting edge of technological design, and while it uses fuel, it gets through 25% less than the other Oasis-class ships. This is done by releasing bubbles beneath the hull, which allows the ship to glide more smoothly through the water, and also lessens the disturbance caused by the propellers, which significantly reduces the sound and vibrations that they create.
Watch our Vehicles playlist for more top 15 videos about amazing vehicles. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best vehicle videos.